T.
Roger says lineage-based reparations should include direct cash payments, not only from the government but from Wall Street, since they profited and were created from the profit made from slavery. Just to get your guys' comments on what Roger said so far.
Yeah, again, this is what I was saying about how the government is a money sovereign nation. They don't have to be locked in to any type of how much gold do we have. They can print our money tomorrow and start issuing it out, and it could go to our people, and we can start doing it just like we did with COVID, right? They printed this money out of nowhere, just like we're doing for illegal immigrants right now. They're coming up with money left and right. New York just approved a credit card that they're going to use. We could have a credit card approved, coming straight from the federal government, just like they have online systems that verify whether accounts is actually sending. We can literally have a portal that we use where we can utilize credit from the federal government via the portal through a two-way authentication system, whether it be your phone and your email, and the authentication system that's on the portal or on the app that literally refreshes every 60 seconds with the new SSL security key. So there's many ways that they can use to go ahead and actually set us up for us to utilize money right now. The thing is, do they have the intent? Do they have the true purpose and heart? And do they have the vision to get it done? Because to be honest, I don't want a whole bunch of non-Negroes making decisions for our reparations. I think the American Negro reparations and the decision making for our people should come from our people and not any other people. Or if it does come from other people, it should be at a 20% to 80%, meaning that there's not so much that their voice should be ignored, but that their voice is not able to sway or deter those who are from the lineage whose ancestors suffered to have to be at the subsequent, to have to be at a subservient level with them. I don't want to go in a room with a whole bunch of people telling me what I deserve and what I'm going to get for my ancestors' debts. I think that it's only right that we go into a room and tell them what we're going to ask and what we're going to demand, and they're going to give us their input, and we're going to be open ears to it. But we're not going to be at the substantial demand that should they decide in the in that adverse way that we're now suffering again. Because the purpose of reparations is to not have any more suffering. When I pay my restitution or I pay my bills, it's so that I'm not incurring a debt anymore. I'm balancing out the debt with a zero. So I don't want to go into a situation where other people from other nations are making decisions at the behest or for the good for our people, because we've seen through time that other people don't always have the best interest for our people. It is when our people sit down at the table, like they did with General Sherman, Tecumseh Williams, and Secretary of War Stanton, with those 21 religious leaders, to sit back and say, this is what we want for our Negro people going forward, that we then have something that can transcend through the tests of time, like a 40 acres and a mule.
Yeah, I would just concur with what Khalif just said, really. That was eloquently put. You can't put it better than that. That's for sure.
So just wanted to continue on what Roger was saying. He says, not only must it be lineage based, but also qualification must be that you have chosen Black under race on the census every time it came up.
Just because, again, you fall into the strict scrutiny, because we are going to have to pass the bars, and any discriminatory factors is not going to pass. So it does not matter whether you chose Black or not. To be honest, the only thing that actually matters is that you have the lineage of the bloodline of the people who suffered, and that is superior more than what you would have chosen on the census or on the paperwork. Because so it does not matter whether they are identifying or Black or not, as much as what needs to matter and what should be precedent over anybody's deciding factor is that they actually are from the lineage and they're from the bloodline. Because we do have some people who do not identify as Black, but that does not negate them from their claim of their ancestors who are of the lineage.
We are definitely not a monolith. I respect the hell out of Brother Khalif. But I would say I agree with Dr. Darity's mind, how he thinks about that and how you should stand on who you are and stand on who you were. And so I do agree with that way. But like we said, there are going to be different ways. We're here with the same thing as long as they are talking about real repair and it's going to lineage based specific people. That's where I would come in and how I would say it.
He says, American freedmen is the ethnicity. That's the delineation that is needed to argue in court. It is written into the congressional record. For the purposes of making a case in court, that is what must be used to argue in court for reparations. He says you're going to make whites and others catch these hands if you start getting them comfortable with saying Negro, bro.
It's just something that you have to recognize, right? When you're talking about the congressional record, Negroes in the Constitution. When you're talking about Negroes, Freedmen is the Freedmen's Bank didn't even survive the test of time, but the Negro Leagues did. I don't think calling the Negroes offensive. I think calling non-Negroes is offensive. Again, the President of the United States recently has said that great Negro pitcher, Satchel Paige, and the President of the Hall of Fame said he would have not had the President use any other word. So it makes absolute sense that we recognize not only who we are, but what terms identified our people. It was only in 1960 that Negro was changed over into this black through the form of black revolutionary. But prior to that, we were chose to call ourselves Negroes. Whether you were white, you called us Negro. Whether you were black, you called us Negro. The thing about it is this. The derogatory term for Negro is Nigger. It's the hard ER. It is not Negro. Negro is Negro does not register as offensive. Nigger is. And so understanding that, it is very understood to know that calling me a Negro is not offensive, but calling me a Nigger is. So we can't say that Negro is equal to Nigger. That's not true. See, emotions have to always be put into check, and logic must always supersede emotional. So if I'm going through something and I'm talking to the government, or the government's engaging with me through documents and paperwork, there is a substantial amount of evidence under the Negro identifier for the Negro people, whether you're talking about enslavement and freedom. When you're talking about freedmen paperwork and freedmen documents, you're talking about a paperwork trail that hasn't even stood the test of time through many situations, through many things. Meaning the Freedmen's Bureau ransacked, raided, shut down, abolished. The Freedmen's Bureau avenues. Some places got their stuff microfilmed, some did not. But my great-grandma and my grandma's birth certificate says Negro. My great-grandfather and my grandfather's birth certificate says Negro. It is only me and my mom's that say black. So I have a better chance of going to the government as a descendant of an enslaved Negro in America than I do of going as a descendant of a freedman. Due to the fact that my paperwork I could bring with me to that government will strictly have me linear from enslavement property all the way to me now as Negro. Whereas I go from freedman, I might have a freedman document. I haven't found any freedman documents in my stuff, but I might have a freedman over here. I might have a freedman over there. And so I see somebody else said that it was a Spanish word. Again, in America, the word black denotes black. Spanish is not the language of America. In America, we speak English. So in America, Negro is not the same as the Spanish-speaking Negro. Negro in America is not an adjective. It is a noun, meaning it is not denoting a color. It's denoting a person, place, or thing. So therefore, when you see black, it is not a noun. It's an adjective. It does not denote a people. It is a color. This is very important because the false teachings that we have been taught is to go through and think that when you say Negro is equal to saying black. But we just mentioned the 1864 California State Supreme Court case, People versus Hall, that said there's a wide difference between the two. A Negro may be a black person, but not every black person is a Negro. That's still true today in our conversations as we talk about in the term of delineation. When I say I'm delineating under the class of blackness, Obama's an African American president. Obama is a black president. Obama is not a Negro president. Obama is not the descendant of the ancestors who built the White House. This is very important because it is important to know that a Negro may be a black person. Obama is not a Negro, though. So we need to make sure that when we're having these conversations, we're doing so with as much knowledge as possible as to how the dynamic works, but with as little emotion as possible as